This video was sponsored by Uncommon Goods. Back to this now. So I got pretty much like everything up to around there, pretty well sorted and organized. And Donovan brought back his dump trailer. So I have it now that I can start going through this and getting this corner here cleaned up a bit. And further along, so I have, again, these are all the offcuts and the extra pieces from all the house stuff. And that kind of goes with this pallet over here, which is a leftover white oak that I had for the flooring, and then all the drawer boxes. And then I have a few sheets of water-resistant NDF from doing the cabinets and everything. So I think all that kind of goes together. I think I can put that whole pallet up there. That's a 10-foot rack, and the white oak boards are 8'6". So I can't really put them here. I have to put them up there and have them overhang, and then they get in the way of the truss, and this bay is smaller because it's the end bay. Anyway, we're gonna get sorted through here and get a pallet of stuff ready to go onto that shelf. I think it was 2 years ago I built these shelf bracket things up there. Those were for all of Donovan's like 20-foot and 16-foot planks. And then like literally a month after I got them put up there, he took them off to a job site. And they've been there for 2 years now, and I don't think they're coming back. So I can use these for something like this. This is some of the longer stuff for all the trim that I have left over. And it's a good spot for long boards. Those are 16-footers, and I think that was like a 12 or something. I got a few little bigger boards back here. This guy, this would be good for a piece of baseboard cap someday. I want to keep these as their full lengths, so I have less splices to deal with when actually installing these as baseboards or whatever they're going to end up being. And I definitely don't want to throw them away because stuff's expensive. These can become stickers. Those should be short enough to put on that pallet. So like this. This can go on that pallet too. This one's long. There's more back there. These are 12s, I think. And to keep these from sagging and developing a bow, I'm just going to put them on edge. That should help. Give them some beam strength. Big board. Knock those over. There. There's my mixing table. Don't need that anymore. All right, I have, this is mostly all the pre-finished maple ply. These are all the remnants, which I think they did a pretty good job as far as what material usage on this stuff, because I went through 23 sheets of this stuff to do the kitchen. And these are like the only real remnants. I had, you know, plenty of trimming strips or whatever that I already threw away, but as far as like larger chunks, this is it. Like there's my first iteration of the hood surround that I changed the size on. So anyway, I'm kind of looking at this like, is there anything here that I could really use or keep or need? So like, I think some of this stuff I'm just gonna toss, but some of these longer ones, I think they'll be kind of a good size if I want to do any kind of like storage, like shop storage type projects, because they're, I don't know, probably like 11 inches wide, and I've got a lot of stock at that width, so I can make some kind of shelving systems or carts or whatever. I don't think I'll have, well, if I were to do a closet or something, that might be enough, assuming we do a maple. But like, this is tiny, I can get rid of this. The holidays are coming, so you know what that means. It's time to start finding those perfect gifts for all those special people in your life, and Uncommon Goods makes that easy. Uncommon Goods is a unique marketplace with a wide range of gift ideas that you have never otherwise thought of. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, often handmade or made in the US. So let me show you a couple of the gifts that I picked up this year. First off for Lindsay is this advent calendar. It's a tea advent calendar. She really enjoys tea, and she has teas that she really likes, but part of the tea journey, quest, whatever you want to call it, is exploring different teas and finding out more things that you may or may not like. So this is 24 different teas that she can try throughout the month of December. The other gifts I picked out are for the kids, so especially with the birds and having the bird feeders, there's always different birds around. So having a guide like this that they can flip through and maybe find the bird they're looking at is one side to this. The other amazing thing here is that my kids are really into factoids. So every single one of the birds has a nice description here with all the information about their habitat, how they live, their egg sizes and shapes and colors, and then a fun fact down there. So I envision that they'll be looking through these, learning all kinds of little fun facts, a couple of, I think, pretty unique gifts that I wouldn't have otherwise thought of if I wasn't browsing through the Uncommon Goods marketplace. So head over to Uncommon Goods and see what one-of-a-kind gifts you can find. If you use my code, you can get 15% off your first gift. Thank you, Uncommon Goods, for sponsoring this video. So I'll leave you with this whole bay open to do whatever I want with. I have these that I can get rid of too. The redos. Don't need these face frames anymore. Not sure why I kept them. A drywall is kind of one of those weird ones where it's like, this is not worth storing, but I think some of you are going to kill me if I throw this away. Some of you get crabby about stuff like that, although it's got quite the bow. Anyway, this is the only full sheet we had left over from doing all the drywall in the whole house. I'll just put it here. Maybe it'll flatten out over time. I think having gone through this whole thing, I feel like one of the things that I didn't quite realize is how little the cost of sheet goods adds into the total price of doing the whole kitchen or whatever. Like these being the moisture resistant MDF, the 3/4 inch thick stuff, I think like 90 a sheet. And at least in the kitchen section itself, I didn't use that many. This is the 3/8 stuff. I think these are 60 a sheet, something like that. But anyway, that's all to say, I spent more money on, I think, paint or coatings, I guess, technically, than I did on sheet goods. Sheet goods was one of the cheapest things in the whole project. I know for sure I spent more on pulls and knobs than I did on sheet goods. I think these right here, this is one of the more expensive things, all the in-cabinet lighting. That was about 6,000. The aluminum rail things, they were 68 a piece. The minimum quantity was 20. Which is kind of why I ended up putting those lights in every single cabinet. Because like I already had the investment made in all the bus bars, and that router bit to cut them was $400. So, like, well, I'll spend even more money and get more use out of them, I guess. I think each light bar was almost $100. So every single shelf, it's $100 for the light. In each cabinet, you're kind of looking at 400 and bus bars and the driver and the connector kit thing and all that stuff. So it added up pretty quickly, but I love that feature, having the lights inside the cabinets. These can probably go on later, I think. I'm being a lot more conservative about this than I would if I was completely done with everything. So a lot of the stuff I don't really need, but I'm going to be doing it again, so it makes sense to have some of the stuff. Like that's still a good piece of baseboard cap. You know, the Cove molds, I have a few different ones because they got from different suppliers, so they got slightly different like flats on them. So in case I gotta set something up for that, I have those. And I want to have at least, you know, one piece of every molding or trim piece that I can set up when I make them again. So I basically have like setup blocks. Those are kind of long. But like, there's a bullet molding that would be enough for a whole window. Head casing, ready to go. And I can set up to make more with that piece. It's kind of getting down there. This is cool. This is my setup block for the doors, cabinet doors. In case ever need to make new doors, there's a setup block for that. I feel pretty relieved about that. I feel like that gives me a good sense of closure, or temporary closure on this whole chapter of my life. All right, I think I'm getting pretty much done with this area, which is nice. Let's stick this door back there, I think. Oh, I can't wait to get rid of this thing. The only reason I have this still is for like the official before and after pictures of the kitchen, the sunroom, and the breakfast nook or whatever. Because those layouts have changed so much that they are completely unrecognizable now. So by putting this back in the space where it used to be, that gives some, I guess, some context. Because otherwise, there's no, like, you can't tell where anything used to be. It's very hard to determine what actually changed because they look like completely different spaces. The walls are gone, the window layouts are all gone. The wall this door was in is no longer there. And it's not where you would think the wall used to be either. So, when everything's done, that goes back inside for a bit, a couple of pictures, a couple of videos, and then I can toss it or find someone that wants it. I think this is going to be the last kind of major thing I do out here. I got these old barrels here. I'm going to get whatever their remnants are inside of them out, or whatever is left in them out. Get rid of them finally, and then find something to put up there. All right, well, this got, I got sidetracked here because this isn't going that well. It's been a few days. So I can't get either of the bung plugs loosened. So what I think is going on is this component likes to crystallize. So I probably got some, I definitely got some residue on here. When I took the pump out, I probably didn't wipe this off well enough because it's not even fully seated, but it's not moving at all. Normally, I can just open the bungs with a pair of pliers like this. You can just kind of wedge them in there and turn, and that's enough to engage the tabs. That's all I've needed, but I can't get enough torque on this thing, so I ordered a bung wrench, which should be here today or tomorrow. I can hopefully get this thing open. I even tried to open the smaller one without any success. So I can't really drain this one quite yet. I really don't want to drill into this thing because I don't want any metal shavings from drilling falling into the the stuff and then getting sucked up into one of my pumps. Those pumps are expensive. So I prefer not to have to drill a hole in this thing, but that's going to be my last resort. Anyway, since it's been a couple of days, let me show you what I've been up to. So I've been working on the side project of getting all the wood that I saw in the summer put away to dry. So we have 3 of these horse runs on the property, and they're all in similar states of collapse, to put it nicely, I guess. So what I've been working on so far has been grading the inside under this cover here of the first bay to get basically a bunch of bunks lined up that are in line with all my stickers, so I can just set like entire stacks and then put them into the whole building as a unit and not have to set up individual bases for every single one of these. So to establish the grade to get it flat, I first started with the telehandler and the bucket, because the nice thing about this machine is with the boom extending, you can park the machine and level it. Inside the machine is a bubble level, so you can get the whole machine leveled side to side, so I can make sure my bucket is level side to side when I pull back and scrape at each spot, basically, because the bucket's only 8 feet. That's a 20-foot span. Now the boom also has a level on it, so you can use that indicator to set level, but the issue is that with the boom at the level elevation and this jog in there and the bucket tip down, you're still floating off the ground, so you do have to float the bucket, to compensate from the boom angle changing, basically, as you're scoping in. So anyway, that gets it pretty close, and then I have a laser set up with whatever you want to call it, a screed board. I have my lines on here, so I screed until I get the area compacted and flat until my laser is at that line, and then I can set a whole row of blocks. It's not very fast, but it's cheap. Now normally, I set up my stations like that, and then I have these leveling bases that I made. These things have screw jacks on either side, so the nice thing about this is you can compensate for any inaccuracies between your different bunks. So all you have to worry about is getting that line on a flat footing or on a flat base, nice and straight. It doesn't matter what its elevation is, up and down completely or from front to back, because you can compensate with that after the fact. Like this, you have to get these bases all in the same plane to get a flat reference surface, and it's a huge pain in the butt. And the accuracy level is not going to be as great as this. I already know I'm within a 1/4 inch of flat across all of this so far, which I think is pretty good for like using a tamper and some sand and like getting it all whatever, and a laser. It's a lot. With this, you're like dead nuts right there. I mean, a 32nd, a 64th within flat over whatever area you're doing very easily and very quickly with this. But anyway, that's what I'm doing here. I'm getting this set up, but I have a few things on the building to kind of worry about, I guess. As I said, they're in various states of collapse. All of them are. They all need new roofs, but then like the rest of the structure isn't that great either. So ideally, I'd like to replace a lot of these buildings at some point. But if I can get a couple of years out of this one, that'd be nice. So with the missing material for the roof back here, it's caused a lot of damage on the ends of the rafters. So a lot of them are kind of rotting through and not really bearing on anything anymore. And then this support beam thing here isn't even attached to that post anymore. It's completely pulled out. It should be flush to the top. So not only is the roof not really bearing on this beam isn't really bearing on anything, and it's just bearing on the ends. So that's a 2x6 spanning 20 feet with the roof load. So I guarantee you, if we get a winter with a normal snowfall, which we haven't had for the last 2 years, this roof will no longer be attached to this building. So I got a couple of 2x8s, two 10-footers. This is a 10-foot span here. So I'm going to put my new beams on this side, jack up the ceiling a little bit to get it a little bit straighter. And then at least with the new support being on the inside face, that'll get me over to material that's not completely rotted out. And that should at least help support some of these. And I can always attach some more material to here if I think I need it. I think it's like how a lot of these things go, unfortunately, is like, I like to do this, but also this has to happen. Or maybe while I'm doing that, this should be done too. I just want to put wood away. But I need infrastructure to put wood somewhere. Okay, cool. How about a building that's not about to collapse? Okay, we're going to fix that. Well, what about a building that doesn't leak? Maybe we'll fix that. That's a child-sized hole, by the way. That's because my kids thought it'd be a good idea to walk on the roof of this thing. And then, luckily they were fine. So because this one's already grabbing, I can't push it up enough to slide it over to the closest gap. But I think for what I'm doing here, I don't think I care. So let's raise the roof. Good. All right, let's get it attached. I gotta bring up the ends a little bit. This one needs to come up. I'm not touching this rafter yet. It's got to come up about a 1/2 inch. So I can catch this guy, and then the other side looks like it's okay, but it might need to go up a little bit too. I set these blocks just a hair low. Oh, too far. Way too far. Something let go all of a sudden. I think that's still too far. Yeah. That should be it right there. Okay, let me get my legs in here. Okay, there are all the bunk bases, I guess, whatever you want to call those. And originally I was planning on just getting an 8-inch concrete block, just like this 8-inch solid block, or whatever, doing this like I would on all my other bases to give me some height. But I think in here, because I'm a little bit limited by the ceiling height, I'm gonna skip these and just go straight to some dunnage down there and kind of go from there. The advantage of having these on there is it helps to spread the weight out into more of the bases and kind of even things out. So I was planning on doing this, and then like a 4x4 on top of that, and then my sticker, and then my stack of wood. But I'm basically just going to take this out. And I got these 4x4s. They're pressure treated because that was cheaper than not pressure treated. And these are 8-footers because they're cheaper than the 10-footers that I would need for here. These are like $1.50 a linear foot, and then the 10-footers are $2 a linear foot, so I went a little bit cheaper. I got some of the crap 2x4s from the clearance pile that I can use as dunnage to put between all the stacks as I'm stacking them up towards the ceiling. So I'm going to toss down these 4x4s, and then I guess we should be ready to start bringing some stacks of wood in here. Finally. Before I start getting things figured out and sorted and ready to come in here, this is one height that I need to know, which is the maximum my fork height can be, about 30 inches before the boom hits the beam thing up there. Because otherwise, if it's above 30 inches, I can't use the forks to stack in place. I have to make the stack outside and bring the whole stack in, you know, however tall it's going to be. So if I want to go all the way to the ceiling, obviously it slopes, but let's say from the very back, if I want to go all the way to the ceiling, about 7.5 feet tall or so. So I have to stack something 7.5 feet tall outside, fork, and then carefully move that entire stack into place and set it all as a unit, which the machine can do, but you know, it can get tippy and you make a mess in a hurry. So if I can at least get that bottom one in there, and I can stack, you know, 2 or 3 logs as a single unit on top of that. All right, so that's sort of a second row, I guess. There's enough room here for like a 6-foot stack. So I have to figure out what I'm going to put there. But now that I'm on the outside kind of column here, I'm close enough to the outside of the building where I can stack them all in place. I don't have to pre-stack a whole bunch of stuff to set it because I can get these, whatever, the next ones on the tips of the fork, and I can lift all the way, and the carriage will actually clear that beam up there. So I think I'm just going to stick a bunch of stuff here, and then I'll find some other stuff to go kind of over there. So I think this is where I'm going to leave this for now. I have some space here. This is a 6-foot space, and then in front of that's 8 foot. And I'll be sawing again in about 10 days, and I got some stuff that I can put there that'll be going through the sawmill, so that'll get filled up pretty well. And I think while I'm kind of like in this zone of things, I'll continue and get this set up as well. So I have some more space that's kind of covered. I can kind of go from there. I got to get this roof patched, and if I do get this all set up and filled in, this whole roof has got to be patched as well. So there's always, you know, more things with that. This is where I'm going to leave this episode of whatever this getting stuff done series is. The barn's in a good place now. It's at least a little more organized. There's room to work, because the next thing for me in there is to go through and start pulling up the material for the breakfast nook, get that stuff in the shop and start making that into a breakfast nook. So that's where that's going right now. It's early October at this point. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments on organizing your stuff, I guess, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy woodworking.